Chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita, The Opulence of the Absolute. The Supreme Lord said, My dear friend, mighty armed Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word, which I shall impart to you for your benefit, and which will give you great joy. Neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the Supreme Lord of all the worlds, he undiluted among men is freed from all sins. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, self-control, calmness, pleasure and pain, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame, and infamy are created by me alone. The 7 great sages, and before them the 4 other great sages, and the Manus, progenitors of mankind, are born out of my mind, and all creatures in these planets descend from them. He who knows in truth this glory and power of mind engages in unalloyed devotional service, of this there is no doubt. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are surrendered to me, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss, enlightening one another and conversing about me. To those who are constantly devoted and worship me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. Out of compassion for them, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. Arjuna said, You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the absolute truth in the eternal divine person. You are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyas proclaim this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the gods nor demons, O Lord, know thy personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own potencies. O origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, O Supreme Person, Lord of the universe, please tell me in detail of your divine powers by which you pervade all these worlds and abide in them. How should I meditate on you? In what various forms are you to be contemplated, O blessed Lord? Tell me again in detail, O Janardhan Krishna, of your mighty potencies and glories, for I never tire of hearing your ambrosial words. The blessed Lord said, Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless. I am the self, O Gudikesh, seated in the hearts of all creatures. I am the beginning, the middle, and the end of all beings. Of the Adityas I am Vishnu, of lights I am the radiant sun, I am Marichi of the Maruts, and among the stars I am the moon. Of the Vedas I am the Samaveda, of the demigods I am Indra, of the senses I am the mind, and in living beings I am the living force knowledge. Of Rudras I am Lord Shiva, of the Yakshas and Rakshasas I am the Lord of wealth Kuvera, of the Vasus I am fire Agni, and of the mountains I am Meru. Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief Brihaspati, the Lord of devotion. Of generals I am Skanda, the Lord of war, and of bodies of water I am the ocean. Of the great sages I am Bhrigu, of vibrations I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices I am the chanting of the holy names Japa, and of immovable things I am the Himalayas. Of all trees I am the holy fig tree, and among sages and demigods I am Narada. Of singers of the gods Gandharvas I am Cheturath, and among perfected beings I am the sage Kapila. Of horses know me to be Uchashriva, who rose out of the ocean, born of the elixir of immortality. Of lordly elephants I am Aravata, and among men I am the monarch. Of weapons I am the thunderbolt, among cows I am the Surabhi, givers of abundant milk. Of procreators I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and of serpents I am Vashuki, the chief. Of the celestial Naga snakes I am Ananta, and of aquatic deities I am Varuna. Of departed ancestors I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law I am Yama, lord of death. Among Daitya demons I am the devoted Prahlad, and among subduers I am Time. Among the beasts I am the lion, and among birds I am Garuda, the feathered carrier of Vishnu. Of purifiers I am the wind, of wielders of weapons I am Rama, of fishes I am the shark, and of the flowing rivers I am the Ganges. Lord Krishna continued, Of all creations I am the beginning, the middle, and the end, O Arjuna. Of all sciences I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians I am the conclusive truth. Of letters I am the letter A, and among compounds I am the dual word. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators I am Brahma, whose manifold faces turn everywhere. I am all-devouring death, and I am the generator of all things yet to be. Among women I am fame, speech, memory, intelligence, faithfulness, and patience. Of hymns I am the Brihat Sama, sung to Lord Indra, and of poetry I am the Gayatri verse, sung daily by the Brahmanas. Of months I am November and December, and of seasons I am the flower-bearing spring. I am also the gambling of the cheats, and of the splendid I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong. Of the descendants of Vrishni I am Vyasadeva, and of the Pandavas I am Arjuna. Of the sages I am Vyas, and among great thinkers I am Mushana. Among punishments I am the rod of chastisement, and of those who seek victory I am morality. Of secret things I am silence, and of the wise I am wisdom. Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or unmoving that can exist without me. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences. Know that all beautiful, glorious, and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. Chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Universal Form. Arjuna said, I have heard your instruction on confidential spiritual matters, which you have so kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. O Lotus-eyed One, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity as realized through your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that universal self. The blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, behold now my opulences, hundreds and thousands of very divine forms, multicolored like the sea. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Rudras, and all the demigods. Behold the many things which no one has ever seen or heard before. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you may desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. But you cannot see me with your present eyes, therefore I give you divine eyes, by which you can behold my mystic opulence. Sanjaya said, O king, speaking thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding, unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up into the sky at once, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. At that time Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled here together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal form many, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes, expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, and there is no middle to all of this. Your form, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs, is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, which is fiery and immeasurable like the sun. You are the supreme primal objective. You are the best in all the universes. You are inexhaustible, and you are the oldest. You are the maintainer of religion, the eternal personality of Godhead. You are the origin without beginning, middle, or end. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. By your own radiance you are heating this entire universe. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O Great One, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all the planetary systems are perplexed. All the demigods are surrendering and entering into you. They are very much afraid, and with folded hands they are singing the Vedic hymns. The different manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadyas, the Vishvadevas, and the two Ashvins, the Maruts, the forefathers and the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and all perfected demigods are beholding you in wonder. O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your many, many faces, eyes, arms, bellies, and legs, and your terrible teeth, and as they are disturbed, so am I. O all-pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain my equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies, and beholding your eyes and mouths, I am afraid. O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I am bewildered. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and all our soldiers are rushing into your mouths, their heads smashed by your fearful teeth. I see that some are being crushed between your teeth as well. As the rivers flow into the sea, so all these great warriors entering into your blazing mouths and perish. I see all people rushing with full speed into your mouths as moths dash into a blazing fire. O Vishnu, I see you devouring all people in your flaming mouths and covering the universe with your immeasurable rays. Scorching the world you are manifest. O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you, please be gracious to me. I do not know what your mission is, and I desire to hear of it. The Blessed Lord said, Time I am, destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Therefore get up and prepare to fight, and after conquering your enemies you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savyasachin, can be but an instrument in the fight. The Blessed Lord said, All the great warriors, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadrath, Karna, are already destroyed. Simply fight, and you will vanquish your enemies. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna, trembling, fearfully offered prayers with folded hands and began falteringly to speak as follows. O Hrishikesh, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. O Great One who stands even above Brahma, you are the original master. Why should they not offer their homage up to you, O Limitless One? O Refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality of Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. You are air, fire, water, and you are the moon. You are the supreme controller and the grandfather. Thus I offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, again and yet again. Obeisances from the front, from behind, and from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You are all-pervading, and thus you are everything. I have in the past addressed you as O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without knowing your glories. Please forgive me whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying on the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses. You are the father of this complete manifestation, the worshipful chief, the spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. Within the three worlds you are immeasurable. You are the Supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer my respect and ask your mercy. Please tolerate the wrongs that I have done to you and bear with me as a father with his son, or as a friend with his friend, or a lover with his beloved. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened, but at the same time my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore please bestow your grace upon me, and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O Abode of the universe. O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your forearmed form, with helmeted head, and with club, wheel, conch, and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. The Blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, happily do I show you this universal form within the material world by my internal potency. No one before you has ever seen this unlimited and glaringly effulgent form. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine, for neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities, nor similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind you can now see the form you desire. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form, and at last he showed him his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. When Arjuna saw Krishna in his original form, he said, Seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified, and I am restored to my original nature. The Blessed Lord said, My dear Arjuna, the form which you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. The form which you are seeing with your transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying the Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as I am. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. Chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, Devotional Service. Arjuna inquired, which is considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? The Blessed Lord said, he whose mind is fixed on my personal form, always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, is considered by me to be most perfect. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Pritha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulated principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way you will develop a desire to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me you will come to the perfect stage. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness, then try to act giving up the results of your work and try to be self-situated. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. One who is not envious, but who is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and who is free from false ego and equal both in happiness and distress, who is always self-satisfied and engaged in devotional service with determination, and whose mind and intelligence are in agreement with me, he is very dear to me. He for whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anxiety, who is steady in happiness and distress, is very dear to me. A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and who does not strive for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equally posed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contamination, always silent and satisfied with anything, and who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service, is very dear to me. He who follows this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engages himself with faith, making me the supreme goal, is very, very dear to me. Chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. Arjuna said, O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, end of knowledge and the end of knowledge. The Blessed Lord then said, This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. O Sayana Bard, you should understand that I am also the knower in all bodies, and to understand this body and its owner is called knowledge. That is my opinion. Now please hear my brief description of this field of activity and how it is constituted, what its changes are and whence it is produced, who the knower of the field of activities is, and what his influences are. That knowledge of the field of activities and the knower of the activities is described by various sages in various Vedic writings, especially in the Vedanta Sutra, and is presented with all reasoning as to cause and effect. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, and self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, non-attachment to children, wife, home, and the rest, and even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, resorting to solitary places, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I thus declare to be knowledge, and what is contrary to these is ignorance. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless, and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and faces, and he hears everything. In this way the Supersoul exists. The Supersoul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time he is the master of all modes of material nature. The Supreme Truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of the material senses to see and know, or to know. Although far, far away, he is near to all. Although the Supersoul appears to be divided, he is undivided. He is situated as one. Although he is the maintainer of every living entity, it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. He is the source of light within all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge, he is the object of knowledge, and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Material nature and the living entities should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. The living entity and material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. Thus he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Supersoul. One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position. That Supersoul is perceived by some through meditation, by some through the cultivation of knowledge, and by others through working without fruit of desire. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. O Chief of the Bharatas, whatever you see in existence, both moving and unmoving, is only the combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. One who sees the Supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the Supersoul is ever destroyed, actually sees. One who sees the Supersoul in every living being, and equal everywhere, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. One who can see that in all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities which are due to different material bodies, he attains to the Brahman conception. Thus he sees that beings are expanded everywhere. Those with a vision of eternity can see the soul as transcendental, eternal, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body origin of the soul, neither does anything nor is entangled. The sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all-pervading. Similarly, the soul, situated in Brahman vision, does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. O son of Bharat, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one with the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. One who knowingly sees the difference between the body and the owner of the body can understand the process of liberation from its bondage, and also attain to the supreme goal. Chapter 14 of the Bhagavad Gita, the three modes of material nature. The Blessed Lord said, Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained to supreme perfection. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature which is like my own nature. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. The total material substance is called Brahman, is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharat. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Material nature consists of the three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the living entity comes in contact with nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it is free from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti, and because of this one is bound to material fruitive activities. Sometimes the mode of passion becomes prominent, defeating the mode of goodness, O son of Bharat. And sometimes the mode of goodness defeats passion, and at other times the mode of ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way there is always competition for supremacy. The manifestations of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develop. O son of Kuru, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure higher planets. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. By acting in the mode of goodness, one becomes purified. Works done in the mode of passion result in distress, and actions performed in the mode of ignorance result in foolishness. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, grief develops. And from the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness, and illusion develops. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on these earthly planets, and those in the mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. When you see that there is nothing beyond these modes of nature in all activities, and that the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all these modes, you can know my spiritual nature. When the embodied being is able to transcend these modes, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by what symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature? The Blessed Lord said, He who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, nor longs for them when they disappear, who is seated like one unconcerned, being situated beyond these material reactions of the modes of nature, who remains firm, knowing that the modes alone are active, who regards alike pleasure and pain, and looks on a clod, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is wise and holds praise and blame to be the same, who is unchanged in honor and dishonor, who treats friend and foe alike, who has abandoned all fruitive undertakings, such a man is said to have transcended the modes of nature. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness, and which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal. Chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. The Blessed Lord said, There is a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches downward, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to fruitive actions of human society. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. One who is free from illusion, false prestige, and false association, who understands the eternal, who is done with material lust and is freed from the duality of happiness and distress, and who knows how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attains to that eternal kingdom. That abode of mine is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. Living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, and which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire also come from me. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the 4 kinds of foodstuffs. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. There are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible. Besides these 2, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that Supreme Person. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is understood to be the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharat. This is the most confidential part of Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita, the Divine and Demoniac Natures. The Blessed Lord said, Fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity and simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion, and freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, and steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, freedom from envy, and the passion for honor. These are transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belonging to godly men endowed with divine nature. Arrogance, pride, anger, harshness, and ignorance, these qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Prita. The transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with divine qualities. O son of Prita, in this world there are 2 kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I have already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behavior nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal, that there is no foundation and there is no God in control. It is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. Following such conclusions, the demoniac who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. The demoniac, taking shelter of insatiable lust, pride, and false prestige, and being thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. They believe that to gratify the senses unto the end of life is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus there is no end to their anxiety. Being bound by hundreds and thousands of desires, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. The demoniac person thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my schemes. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I am the Lord of everything. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance. Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by a network of illusions, one becomes too strongly attached to sense enjoyment and falls down into hell. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. Bewildered by false ego, strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demon becomes envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in his own body and in the body of others, and blasphemes against the real religion. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually, they sink down into the most abominable type of existence. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization, and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. But he who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. One should understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may be gradually elevated. Chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita, The Divisions of Faith. Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of one who does not follow the principles of Scripture but worships according to his own imagination? Is he in goodness, in passion, or in ignorance? The Supreme Lord replied, According to the modes of nature acquired by the embodied soul, one's faith can be of 3 kinds: goodness, passion, or ignorance. Now hear about these. According to one's existence under the various modes of nature, one evolves a particular kind of faith. The living being is said to be of a particular faith according to the modes he has acquired. Men in the mode of goodness worship the demigods, those in the mode of passion worship the demons, and those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Those who undergo severe austerities and penances not recommended in the scriptures perform them out of pride, egotism, lust, and attachment, who are impelled by passion and who torture the bodily organs as well as the supersoul dwelling within, are to be known as demons. Even food of which we all partake is of 3 kinds, according to the 3 modes of material nature. The same is true of sacrifices, austerities, and charity. Listen, and I shall tell you of the distinction of these. Foods in the mode of goodness increase the duration of life, purify one's existence, and give strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such nourishing foods are sweet, juicy, fattening, and palatable. Foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, pungent, dry, and hot are liked by people in the mode of passion. Such foods cause pain, distress, and disease. Food cooked more than 3 hours before being eaten, which is tasteless, stale, putrid, decomposed, and unclean, is food liked by people in the mode of ignorance. Of sacrifices, that sacrifice performed according to duty and to scriptural rules, with no expectation of reward, is of the nature of goodness. But that sacrifice performed for some material end or benefit, or performed ostentatiously out of pride, is of the nature of passion, O chief of the Bharatas. And that sacrifice performed in defiance of scriptural injunctions, in which no spiritual food is distributed, no hymns are chanted, and no numerations are made to the priest, which is faithless, that sacrifice is of the nature of ignorance. The austerity of the body consists in this: worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother. Cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and nonviolence are also austerities of the body. Austerity of speech consists in speaking truthfully and beneficially, and avoiding speech that offends. One should also recite the Vedas regularly, and serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control, and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind. This 3-fold austerity, practiced by men whose aim is not to benefit themselves materially but to please the Supreme, is of the nature of goodness. Those ostentatious penances and austerities which are performed in order to gain respect, honor, and reverence are said to be in the mode of passion. They are neither stable nor permanent, and those penances and austerities which are performed foolishly by means of obstinate self-torture or to destroy or injure others are said to be in the mode of ignorance. That gift which is given out of duty at the proper time and place to a worthy person and without expectation of return is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. But charity performed with the expectation of some return, or with a desire for fruitive results, or in a grudging mood, is said to be charity in the mode of passion. And charity performed at an improper place and given to unworthy persons without respect and with contempt is charity in the mode of ignorance. From the beginning of creation, the 3 syllables Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth, Brahman. They were uttered by Brahmanas while chanting Vedic hymns and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Thus, the Transcendentalists undertake sacrifices, charities, and penances, beginning with Om, to attain the Supreme. One should perform sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word Tat. The purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from material entanglement. The absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat. These works of sacrifice, of penance, of charity, true to the absolute nature, are performed to please the Supreme Person of Sanaprita. But sacrifices, austerities, and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are non-permanent. O son of Pritha, regardless of whatever rites are performed, they are called asat and are useless both in this life and in the next. Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita. Conclusion. The Perfection of Renunciation. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, Sannyas, O killer of the Keshi demon, Hrishikesh. The Supreme Lord said, To give up the results of all activities is called renunciation by the wise, and that state is called the renounced order of life by greatly learned men. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activity should be given up, but yet there are other sages who maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. O best of the Bharatas, hear from thee now about renunciation. O tiger among men, there are three kinds of renunciation declared in the scriptures. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. All these activities should be performed without any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion. Prescribed duties should never be abandoned. If by illusion one gives up his prescribed duties, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear is said to be in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. But he who performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, and renounces all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is of the mode of goodness, O Arjuna. Those who do not hate any inauspicious work, nor are attached to auspicious work, situated in the mode of goodness, have no doubts about work. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Therefore it is said that he who renounces the fruits of action is one who has truly renounced. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. O mighty armed Arjuna, learn from me of the 5 factors which bring about the accomplishment of all action. These are declared in Sankhya philosophy to be the place of action, the performer, the senses, the endeavor, and ultimately the supersoul. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, is not the slayer, nor is he bound by his actions. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors which motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer comprise the threefold basis of action. In accordance with the 3 modes of material nature, there are 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performers of action. Listen as I describe them. That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all existences, undivided in the divided, is knowledge in the mode of goodness. That knowledge by which a different type of living entity is seen to be dwelling in different bodies is knowledge in the mode of passion. And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-all, without knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. As for actions, that action in accordance with duty, which is performed without attachment, without love or hate, by one who has renounced fruitive results, is called action in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort, by one seeking to gratify his desires, and which is enacted from a sense of false ego, is called action in the mode of passion. And that action performed in ignorance and delusion, without consideration of future bondage or consequences, which inflicts injury and is impractical, is said to be action in the mode of ignorance. The worker who is free from all material attachments and false ego, and who is enthusiastic and resolute, who is indifferent to success or failure, is a worker in the mode of goodness. But that worker who is attached to the fruits of his labor, and who passionately wants to enjoy them, who is greedy, envious, and impure, and moved by happiness and distress, is a worker in the mode of passion. And that worker who is always engaged in work against the injunction of the Scriptures, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is a worker in the mode of ignorance. Now, O winner of wealth, please listen as I tell you in detail of the 3 kinds of understanding and determination according to the 3 modes of nature. O son of Pritha, that understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, that understanding is established in the mode of goodness. And that understanding which cannot distinguish between the religious way of life and the irreligious, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, that imperfect understanding, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of passion. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion, and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O son of Pritha, is in the mode of ignorance. O Partha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and thus controls the mind, life, and the acts of the senses, is in the mode of goodness. And that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive result in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna. And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination is in the mode of darkness. O best of the Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects, and which appears like nectar at first but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion. And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from the three modes of material nature. Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras are distinguished by their qualities of work, O chastiser of enemy, in accordance with the three modes of nature: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow-raising, and business are the qualities of work for the Vaishyas. And for the Sudras there is labor and service to others. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings, and who is all-pervading, man can, in the performance of his own duty, attain perfection. It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Prescribed duties according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reactions. Every endeavor is covered by some sort of fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore one should not give up the work which is born of his own nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault. One can obtain the results of renunciation simply by self-control and by becoming unattached to material things and disregarding material enjoyments. That is the highest perfectional stage of renunciation. O son of Kunti, learn from me in brief how one can attain to the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, by acting in the way which I shall now summarize. Being purified by his intelligence and controlling the mind with determination, giving up the objects of sense gratification, being freed from attachment and hatred, one who lives in a secluded place, who eats little and controls the body and tongue, and is always entranced and detached, who is without false ego, false strength, false pride, lust, anger, and who does not accept material things. Such a person is certainly elevated to the position of self-realization. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman. He never laments nor desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state he attains pure devotional service unto me. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is only by undivided devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my devotees under my protection reach the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. In all activities just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service be fully conscious of me. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to engage in warfare. Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction, but compelled by your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. O scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do. Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you the most confidential part of knowledge. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. Always think of me and become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. This confidential knowledge may not be explained by those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me. For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation worships me by his intelligence. And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the planets where the pious dwell. O conqueror of wealth, Arjuna, have you heard this attentively with your mind, and are your illusions and ignorance now dispelled? Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and I am now firm and free from doubt, and prepared to act according to your instructions. Sanjaya said, Thus I have heard the conversation of the two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard all these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. O King, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure being thrilled at every moment. O King, when I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with even greater wonder, and I rejoice again and again. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Thus ends the Bhagavad Gita section to the summary study of the Mahabharata. Chapter 8 of the Bhisma Parva, the 8th day of the Battle of Kurukshetra. Sanjaya said, O King, when the dawn of the 8th day arrived, the Pandavas and the Kauravas once more proceeded to battle. King Duryodhana, Chitrasen, Vivinsati, Bhisma, and Drona arrayed the Kaurava troops in a formation that resembled the ocean. In the front line of that battle was the grandsire Bhisma, supported by Duryodhana and his brothers. Next to Bhisma was Kripa, and next to Kripa was Drona, supported by hundreds and thousands of troops. On the other side of Bhisma was the son of Drona, Ashvatthama, as well as Salya and Kritavarman. Upon seeing that mighty array of the Kaurava army, Drishtadyumna arranged his troops in a counter-formation called Shringataka that was destructive of hostile armies. The horns of that formation were Bhima and the descendant of Vrishni, Satyaki. Next to Satyaki was Arjuna, who had the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his charioteer. In the center of that formation was King Yudhisthira and the twins Nakula and Sahadev. Behind these great warriors was Abhimanyu, Virata, and Garudkach. Behind them were millions upon millions of soldiers. Thus the battle began, and the two armies met, causing a great dust cloud to rise into the sky. The heroic Bhishma began mowing down the troops before him with his mighty bow. The Somakas and the Srinjayas rushed to Bhishma, knowing well that their death was at hand. There was nothing more rewarding for a Kshatriya than to die on the field of battle, what to speak of being killed by a great warrior like Bhishma. As in the previous days, the grandsire began to slaughter the opposing forces in hundreds and thousands, using his celestial weapons. No one could stand before him. The only one who dared to resist him in battle was Bhima. Protecting Bhishma were the sons of Dhritarashtra, and they rushed at Bhima in great anger. Bhima first of all killed the charioteer of Bhishma, and when his horses went out of control, they took his chariot away from the battlefield. The sons of Dhritarashtra, greatly angered, rushed at Bhima, releasing their mighty arrows. Bhima countered their attack, and with an arrow shaped like a horseshoe, he severed the head of Sunabha, whose beautifully adorned head fell to the earth and rolled on the ground. The other brothers of Duryodhana, Adityaketu, Abhavashin, Kundahar, Manohar, Aparajit, Panditaka, and Vishalaka were enraged and rushed at Bhima, driving hard their beautiful chariots. Mahodara pierced Bhima with 9 arrows, each resembling a thunderbolt. Adityaketu struck him with 70 shafts, Kundahar with 90, and Vishalaka with 7. The other brothers also released their arrows, determined to end the life of Bhimasen. Bhima, not tolerating the impudence of his cousins, released an arrow that cut off the head of Aparajit. With a broad-headed arrow, Vrikadar dispatched Kundahar to the abode of Yamaraj by severing his beautiful head. Remembering the offenses these cousins committed many times in the past, Bhima released with all his strength a golden arrow that pierced through the chest of Panditaka and entered into the ground. Panditaka then fell off his chariot to the ground, deprived of life. Then with 3 arrows, the second son of Kunti severed the head of Vishalaka. Mahadar was slain with a long-shafted arrow, released with great power from the bow of Bhima. Adityaketu was then killed with another broad-headed arrow, and sent to the abode of Yamaraj. With another arrow, Bhima then killed Bhavasin. Seeing so many of their brothers slain, the remaining sons of Dhritarashtra fled the battlefield. They remembered the oath that was taken by Bhima in the midst of the Kaurav assembly, and fear overcame their hearts. When Duryodhana saw his brothers had been slain, he was overcome with grief. He recollected the words of Vidura as well as the words of the other Kuru elders. From the way in which Bhima killed his brothers, he could understand that this second son of Kunti had taken birth for his destruction. He then ordered the troops, saying, "There is Bhima, kill him." After ordering his troops to fight, he went to Bhishma to pour out his grief. He began to lament, saying, 8 of my brothers have been slain by Bhima even in your presence. Our troops are fighting bravely, but still they are being slaughtered. You seem to have become indifferent spectator in this battle. Alas, destiny is certainly cruel to me." Hearing the words of Duryodhana, the eyes of the grandsire filled with tears, and he spoke falteringly to his grandson. "Previously we have warned you about this, but you could not understand. Myself, Drona, Vidura, and your mother Gandhari have given you good instructions to make peace with the Pandavas, but you have paid no attention. It has been ordained that neither myself nor Drona will escape with our lives from this battle. I speak the truth when I tell you that whoever Bhima casts his eyes upon, that person will not escape with his life. Therefore, O king, be patient and fight on, making the heavenly planet your goal. As regards to the Pandavas, they are incapable of being slain by all the demigods combined." King Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjaya, beholding so many of my sons slain by a single person, I have become weak and my body trembles. Day after day, O Sutta, my sons are being slain. I think that they have been overtaken by the force of time. Even though they are being protected by Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, Bhurisravas, and Ashvatthama, still they are being killed. My wicked son did not listen to the words of the Kuru elders, and is now reaping the fruits of his sinful deeds." Sanjaya replied, "O monarch, you were also instructed many times by the pious Vidura. He pleaded with you to restrain your wicked sons from the game of dice, but you did not listen. The outcome of this present battle is the reaction to not listening to the intelligent Vidura. Listen now, O king, to the events of the battle exactly as they happened." After speaking to his grandson, Bhishma again engaged the Pandava army in battle. Rushing at Bhishma were Yudhisthira, Dristadumna, Sakandi, Satyaki, Virat, Drupad, Dristiketu, and Kunti Bhoj. They were supported by the Somakas, the Srinjayas, and the Matsyas. Arjuna, the son of Draupadi, and Shakitana all engaged the Kaurava army headed by Duryodhana. Bhima, Abhimanyu, Gadukach engaged the rest of the Kaurava army. The foremost of the chariot fighters, Drona, excited with wrath, began slaughtering the Somakas and the Srinjayas. The warriors that were struck down by Drona were seen lying on the battlefield with severed heads, arms, and legs. The moans and shrieks of the wounded was a deafening sound on the field of battle. Bhima fell upon the elephant divisions of the Kauravas, and with his arrows he began to cut off their trunks and mangle their bodies. Those huge beasts began to fall to the earth in large numbers. Some of those elephants were paralyzed, and some were only half killed, laying on the ground, suffering in great pain. Nakula and Sahadev came upon the cavalry divisions and began felling thousands of horsemen with their deadly shafts. Both horse and rider were killed, and those sons of Madri left a path of destruction wherever they went. The son of Arjuna, Iravan, was a mighty warrior coming from the race of the Nagas. His mother was Ulupi, and he was begotten by Arjuna when Arjuna was on pilgrimage many years before. He grew up with his mother in the region of the Nagas, and when he heard that Arjuna had gone to the heavenly planets, he went there to see him. Approaching his father, he spoke to him. "I am Iravan, your son by Ulupi." Arjuna then embraced Iravan, and they spent much time together. When Iravan left the heavenly planets, Arjuna said to him, "When the great battle takes place, I will be in need of your assistance." Replying to his father, Iravan said, "When I receive your word, I will come to help you." Now that the battle has begun, Iravan was rendering valuable assistance. He had come to the battlefield accompanied by many horses that were of celestial origin. Those horses had the power to travel above ground and to trample oncoming soldiers and horsemen. During the general engagement of the day, Iravan was destroying the enemy lines and thinning them out. Coming up to challenge him were the younger brothers of Shikuni, whose names were Gaya, Gavaksha, Vrishava, Charmavat, Arjava, and Shuka. They came upon him supported by their divisions of troops. The Gandhara soldiers, who were anxious for battle, began to destroy the defense lines of the Pandavas. Iravan ordered his men to challenge them, and thus a great battle began. Gradually the division of Iravan gained the upper hand, and the younger brothers of Shikuni became enraged and attacked him on the front line of the battlefield. Hopeful of conquering the son of Arjuna, they released many lances and arrows, finding their mark. Iravan was hit in many places with those weapons. Removing the lances from his body, he released them with great strength at the brothers of Shikuni. He then got down from his chariot with sword and shield in hand. The brothers of Shikuni surrounded him, trying to take him captive. When they came close, he cut off their right and left arms and mangled their bodies. Thus deprived of their lives, they fell from their chariots. Only Vrishava, with many wounds on his body, survived and escaped with his life. Seeing the slaughter of the brothers of Shikuni, Duryodhana ordered the prince of the Rakshasas, Alambusha, to go and kill Iravan. He said to him, "Behold, O hero, the son of Arjuna is destroying my forces with his mystic powers of illusion. You are also well versed in mystic powers, so without delay do what is needed to protect our soldiers." Going forward, Alambusha, the terrible Rakshasa, began displaying his mystic illusions. He created many powerful horses ridden by fierce Rakshasas and carrying spears and battle axes. They were 2,000 in number, and they came upon Iravan with great speed. However, they were soon vanquished by the son of Arjuna, supported by his own men. Alambusha then ran at Iravan, releasing his blood-sucking arrows. When he got close enough, Iravan cut his arrows and his bow to pieces. Seeing his bow cut, he rose up into the air and began to display his mystic illusions. Iravan, also possessed with mystic power, rose up into the sky and began to fight with the mystic Rakshasa. He severed his arms and hacked at his body. However, the Rakshasa produced more arms by dint of his mystic power. Iravan repeatedly cut him with his battle axe and caused him to bleed profusely. Alambusha then expanded his form and tried to capture Iravan, but Iravan also produced mystic illusions that baffled Alambusha. A celestial A celestial serpent from his mother's side came to the aid of Iravan. It assumed a huge form like Ananta himself. Producing many Nagas, they attacked the huge Rakshasa. While being attacked, Alambusha reflected for a moment. He immediately assumed the form of Garuda and devoured all those mystic Nagas. When this happened, Iravan was confused by the illusions created by the Rakshasa. While in that state, Alambusha cut off the head of Iravan with his mighty sword. When the son of Arjuna was slain, the Kaurava army appeared overjoyed, and encouraged in this way, they began to overthrow the battle lines of their enemy. Beholding the son of Arjuna slain in battle, Ghatotkacha, taking up his bow, rushed at Duryodhana, releasing hundreds of arrows. Duryodhana came up to challenge the son of Bhima. He was followed by a division of elephants with the king of the Vangas at their head. Ghatotkacha roared loudly, striking terror into the troops of Duryodhana. The Rakshasa division then attacked the elephant army with great strength, causing a carnage of those mighty beasts. With arrows, swords, darts, maces, and battle axes, the Rakshasas began to kill large elephants as if they were trees caught in a tornado. Not tolerating this, Duryodhana killed 4 of the principal Rakshasas, whose names were Vegavat, Maharudra, Vidyujjiva, and Pramatin. Seeing the action of Duryodhana, the son of Bhima, greatly angered, took up a huge dart to kill him. The king of the Vangas then rushed forward, covering the chariot of Duryodhana so that he could not be seen. Ghatotkacha then released his dart, went straight through the heart of the elephant, and caused him to lie on the ground, deprived of life. The king of the Vangas jumped off the elephant, and ascended another mighty elephant. With eyes red in rage, Ghatotkacha assumed a terrible form and began roaring, shaking the very earth. Hearing these sounds, Bhishma ordered Drona, Kripa, Salya, Somadat, Baalika, Jayadrath, and Bhurishavas to go and protect the king. Also following behind were Vinda and Anuvinda, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, Chitrasen, and Vivinsati. Beholding all these warriors coming forward, Ghatotkacha remained calm and greeted them with a shower of arrows. He cut off the bow of Drona, and felled the standard of the chariot of Somadat. He pierced Baalika with many arrows, and Kripa with one. Ghatotkacha then struck Karna in the shoulder joint, which caused blood and flesh to flow from his wound. Karna was forced to sit down on the floor of his chariot. Ghatotkacha released 10 arrows that pierced the body of Bodhisattva and entered into the earth. He then cut the bow of Jayadratha and killed the horses of the kings of Avantipur. Defeating all those warriors, he rushed at Duryodhana to kill him. Many heroes that were defending Duryodhana came forward to protect the foremost son of Dhritarashtra. They surrounded Ghatotkacha and pierced him with many arrows. Ghatotkacha then rose up into the sky and roared loudly, causing the hearts of the Kuru warriors to tremble. Hearing those roars, King Yudhisthira anxiously spoke to his younger brother Bhima. "Those roars from your mighty son indicate that he is battling with the foremost of the Kuru soldiers. I think it is more of a burden than he can bear. Go quickly and save him from this immediate danger." Following his brother's order, Bhima rushed to battle, followed by many foremost of the chariot fighters. Bhima sent forth earth-trembling screams that caused great fear to enter the hearts of the Kaurava heroes. He met them head-on and broke the back of that fierce army. Followed by thousands of soldiers, he pierced the enemy lines, killing hundreds of men with his sharpened arrows. Seeing his troops fleeing for their lives, Duryodhana rushed to Bhimasena to stop his progress. He covered the son of Pandu with a shower of arrows and cut his bow to pieces. The crooked son of Dhritarashtra then released an arrow that pierced the chest of Bhima and caused him to grab onto the pole of his chariot. Enraged at this action, Ghatotkacha and Abhimanyu rushed at Duryodhana to put an end to his life. Seeing them advancing, Drona ordered Somadat, Kripa, Bodhisattvas, Ashvatthama, Jayadratha, and Brihadvala to go and save the king. To protect Duryodhana, Drona pierced Bhima with 26 arrows. However, Bhima pierced Drona in return with 10 shafts that caused the preceptor to fall to the floor of his chariot. Then Duryodhana and Ashvatthama rushed at Bhima to avenge the act against the Kuru elder. Jumping down from his chariot, Bhima took up his mace and ran at Drona to slay him. The mighty Kauravas, desiring to kill Bhima, surrounded him and began to rain upon him their weapons. One king of the Low Countries named Nila rushed at Ashvatthama, who was trying to kill Bhima. He pierced the son of Drona with many winged arrows and caused blood to flow from his body. Highly enraged, Ashvatthama killed the 4 horses of Nila and overthrew the charioteer. He then released a single arrow that pierced Nila in the chest, causing him to fall down in his chariot. Ghatotkacha came up for his protection, and the son of Drona challenged him to battle. Ashvatthama killed many of the Rakshasas that were supporting Ghatotkacha, and the son of Bhima became enraged. He produced many fearful illusions that bewildered the son of Drona. With this action, the Kaurava army ran away in fear. Confused by the mystic illusion created by Ghatotkacha, thousands of warriors fell down with their heads, legs, and arms severed from their bodies. Even Drona, Duryodhana, Salya, and Ashvatthama left the field of battle. Bhishma tried to rally the troops, yelling, "Do not run away, it is simply the illusions of the mystic Rakshasa." Not hearing his words, they did not come back to fight, and the Pandavas considered victory to be theirs. It was the hour of sunset that the mystic Ghatotkacha routed the army of the Kauravas and sent them running from the battlefield. After the great battle, Duryodhana went to Bhishma and began to speak to him. "Relying on your prowess in battle, I have started this war against the Pandavas. I have 11 Akshahini divisions at your command, yet still I am defeated by the Pandava warriors, headed by Bhima and Ghatotkacha. This is causing me great anxiety and is burning my body. I therefore want you to kill Ghatotkacha, and my desires will be fulfilled." Replying to the words of Duryodhana, Bhishma said, "Listen, O king, to the words that I speak to you. In all circumstances you should be protected in battle. Kings should fight with kings. Therefore you should fight with Yudhisthira, Bhima, Arjuna, or the twins. Myself, Drona, Kripa, Ashvatthama, and Kritavarman will fight with the wicked Rakshasa. However, if you are in great anxiety, then request Bhagavad to go and challenge the Rakshasa, for he is invincible as he rides on his great white elephant." Following the advice of his grandfather, King Duryodhana went to Bhagavad and requested him, "Proceed quickly against the son of Hidimva, and destroy him along with all his forces. You also have mystic powers and are incapable of being defeated by this powerful Rakshasa." Hearing the words of Duryodhana, King Bhagavad rushed to the forefront of the battle for fighting with Ghatotkacha. Seeing him coming, Bhima, Abhimanyu, Ghatotkacha, the sons of Draupadi, Satyadriti, Chatradev, and Vasudan prepared themselves for battle. Bhagavad was riding on his elephant named Supratika, and was supported by many other gigantic tuskers. He came charging at Bhimasena and afflicted him with many arrows. Bhima countered and killed 100 supporting warriors that followed King Bhagavad. Bhima, the Kekaya brothers, Abhimanyu, and the ruler of the Dasharnas surrounded that elephant and began to pierce it with many weapons. Blood and flesh were flowing from its sides, but still it would not waver. The ruler of the Dasharnas, riding on his elephant, challenged the powerful Supratika, but could not make it move its ground. Then the ruler of Pragjotishapur sent 14 lances that pierced that elephant, sent him reeling from the battlefield. Turning on the troops of the Pandavas, that wounded elephant began to crush the horses and chariots that supported him. The mighty warriors of the Pandava army, placing Bhima at their head, rushed at the gigantic elephant Supratika with the intention of slaying it. The great bowman Bhagavad fearlessly began to assault the ranks of the Pandava army, causing great havoc. That huge elephant began to crush soldiers and chariots in hundreds and thousands. Beholding the Pandava army broken, Ghatotkacha with blazing eyes rushed at Bhagavad. He released a mighty dart that scorched through the sky like a meteor. Bhagavad quickly released an effulgent arrow that shattered the dart to pieces. When that dart fell to the ground, Bhagavad became encouraged. He picked up a huge lance and released it for the destruction of Ghatotkacha. The son of Bhima rose up into the air and seized it, uttering a loud roar. He then broke it on his knees. With this action, everyone applauded Ghatotkacha and exclaimed, "Well done, well done." Not tolerating that action, the king of Pragjotishapur pierced all the warriors on the field of battle with many arrows. He killed the horses of Bhima and deeply hurt the charioteer of Bhima, Vishoka. Vishoka fell to the floor of the chariot, deeply pained. Then, taking up his mace, Bhima descended the chariot and began to slaughter the enemy ranks, all the while being pierced by the mighty Bhagavad. Just at this time, Arjuna, accompanied by Lord Krishna, appeared on the scene. Bhima informed Arjuna of the death of his son Iravan at the hands of Alambusha. Hearing of the death of his son, Arjuna said to Krishna, "I know without doubt that Vidura foresaw with his great wisdom the destruction of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Many great heroes have fallen in battle for the sake of wealth. To hell with this profession of a Kshatriya. For the fault of Duryodhana, the entire Kshatriya race will be destroyed. I will kill these so-called kinsmen who are Rakshasas in human dress. There is no time to lose, O Madhava." Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then speedily drove the chariot to the front line of the battle. He engaged in battle with Bhishma, Kripa, Bhagadat, and Shusharman. Meanwhile, Bhimasena came upon Drona and some of the brothers of Duryodhana. In the presence of Drona, he killed them like a lion kills sheep. Their names were Vyudroksha, Kundalin, Anadriti, Kundabedin, Virat, Dirgalochan, Dirgavahu, Suvahu, and Kankyadaj. These 9 brothers fell from their chariots and were deprived of their lives. The other brothers ran in all directions. This feat was accomplished as the preceptor Drona looked on helplessly. Then a fierce engagement took place that increased the population of Yamaraja's abode. The 2 armies clashed, causing a great carnage on both sides. Seizing one another by the hair, they fought using nails, teeth, fists, and knees. Father killed son, and son killed father. Swords with pearl handles lay broken all over the battlefield. Costly ornaments, bows, and broken arrows were strewn on the field of battle like rain. Bearded darts, axes, maces, and spiked clubs lay next to the bodies of decapitated soldiers. Men lay on the battlefield with limbs shattered and heads smashed. The earth was covered with slain men, elephants, and horses. Smashed chariots were piled up on top of one another, with the chariot fighter lying in them, deprived of life. Their armor was scattered here and there, covered with blood and no longer reflecting the sun. Severed heads of great warriors lay everywhere, bedecked with turbans or crowns and decorated with golden earrings. After the 2 armies had crushed each other, both the Kurus and the Pandavas withdrew their great divisions at the approach of darkness. They took rest for the night, retiring to their tents. Lamenting the loss of so many of his brothers and the slaughter of his troops, Duryodhana, accompanied by Dushashan and Karna, went to see grandfather Bhishma. Duryodhana then spoke to him these words: "Accepting you as our protector, we would venture to kill the demigods combined, what to speak of the insignificant Pandavas. I desire, O son of Ganga, that you show mercy to me. Why do you not kill the Pandavas? O king, if out of hatred for myself or love of the enemy you do not kill the Pandavas, then permit Karna to fight. He will be able to vanquish the Pandavas in battle without doubt." Replying to the words of the wicked Duryodhana, Bhishma said, "O Duryodhana, why do you pierce my ears with these arrows? I am prepared to give up my life for you in this battle. The Pandavas cannot be defeated by anyone. Do you not remember when Arjuna defeated Indra in the battle at the Khandava forest? Do you not remember when Arjuna saved you from the Gandharvas after Karna had fled the battlefield? In Virat's kingdom, the mighty armed son of Kunti defeated all of us in battle and took away our robes. Is this not sufficient proof to you? Do you not remember when Arjuna went to heaven and defeated the Nivatakavachas? Who is there indeed who can defeat Partha in battle? He has for his protector the eternal Lord Krishna, the carrier of the discus. Vyasadeva is possessed of infinite power, and is the destroyer of the universe. He is the Lord of all beings, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the supersoul of every embodied being. This has been confirmed by Narada, Asita, Vyasa, and others. Due to ignorance you do not see this, like a man who is about to die sees all trees made of gold. Having caused this great war, why don't you fight with Bhima and Arjuna? As regards for me, I will slay the Somakas and the Panchalas assembled together, avoiding Sikandi alone. I will slay them or be slain by them. O son of Gandhari, tomorrow I will fight a fierce battle that men will talk about as long as the world lasts. Go now and pass the night happily in sleep. Thus the king with his soldiers went to their tents and slept till the morning arrived. Thus ends the 8th chapter of the Bhisma Parva to the summary study of the Mahabharata entitled The 8th Day of the Battle of Kurukshetra. Chapter 9 of the Bhisma Parva, the 9th day of the great battle. King Dhritarashtra inquired, Hearing of the slaughter of my sons, O Sanjaya, a great fear has entered my mind. I think that none of my kinsmen will escape from this battle with their life. You have told me of the determination of the son of Ganga. There has never been a warrior so great as he. Tell me, O Sutta, what events took place on the 9th day of the great battle. Sanjaya said, Listen, O king, with rapt attention to all that I am about to speak. The encounters in today's battle will be spoken about for an eternity. On the 9th day of the great battle, Bhishma, the son of Shantanu, arranged his phalanxes in the formation called Savatrabhadra. Kripa, Kritavarman, Shaivya, Shakuni, Jayadratha, Sudakshin, the ruler of the Kambojas, and the grandsire Bhishma all took up their positions together in the forefront of the great divisions. Drona, Bodhisattva, Salya, and Bhagavad took up their positions in the right wing of that array. Ashvatthama, Somadat, the kings of Avantipur, and Bayalika took up their positions in the right wing of that formation. In the middle of the formation was Duryodhana, Shusharman, and the Trikartas. The powerful Rakshasa Alambusha and Shrutayus took up their positions in the rear of the army. King Yudhisthira and Bhimasen, as well as the twin sons of Madri, stood in the forefront of their great divisions, ready for combat. The commander-in-chief Dristadumya, along with Virata, Satyaki, Sikandi, Arjuna, Ghatotkacha, and Chekitana, stood surrounded by their phalanxes of soldiers. Supporting these great warriors were Abhimanyu, Drupad, the 5 Kekaya brothers, and Kunti Bhoj. All stood ready for combat. Then the Kauravas, placing the grandsire at their head, rushed against the Pandavas, eager for victory. The Pandavas, also eager for combat, rushed against Bhishma, desiring to stop his progress. Abhimanyu attacked the Kaurava forces with great strength, releasing his arrows to all parts of the battlefield. He cleared the enemy lines of infantry, cavalry, and chariot fighters. With his celestial weapons, he was tossing warriors around the battlefield like cotton in the wind. With no one to protect them, the divisions of Duryodhana were consumed like a blazing fire consumes dry grass. Abhimanyu defeated Kripa, Drona, Ashvatthama, and Jayadratha, and sent them reeling from the front lines of the battle. His bow was constantly drawn in a circle and resembled a circular halo of light around the sun. All the warriors on both sides applauded his prowess as he crossed the battlefield. Gladdening the heart of Yudhisthira and the others, he routed the Kaurava army from one end of the battlefield to the other. There was a great wail of lamentation from the troops of Duryodhana as this second Arjuna approached them, releasing his death-dealing arrows. Seeing his troops routed, Duryodhana said to Alambusha, This son of Arjuna appears to be like his father in prowess. I do not see anyone else who can defeat him in battle except one who possesses mystic powers. Go and kill this son of Subhadra and gain victory for my troops. Bowing to the command of Duryodhana, the valiant and mighty Rakshasa quickly went to the front lines of the battle for an encounter with Abhimanyu. Coming upon the divisions of Abhimanyu, Alambusha began killing his soldiers in hundreds and thousands. He was highly enraged and appeared to dance on the terrace of his chariot. The mighty Rakshasa came upon the 5 sons of Draupadi and began to grind them with his arrows. The son of Yudhisthira, Prativinya, pierced the Rakshasa through his armor, causing him to roar with great pain. Not tolerating that action, Alambusha killed the horses of Prativinya and also killed the horses of his 4 brothers. He then began to pierce them with hundreds and hundreds of arrows. Having deprived them of their chariots, he rushed to kill them. Abhimanyu, seeing his half-brothers in difficulty, came up quickly to intercept the mighty Rakshasa. Alambusha challenged the son of Arjuna, saying, Wait, wait. The Rakshasa was endowed with mystic illusions, and the son of Subhadra was endowed with all the celestial weapons. The combat was wonderful, and all who saw it were struck with wonder. Abhimanyu pierced Alambusha with 5 shafts, and the Rakshasa countered with 9 arrows that pierced the son of Arjuna in the chest. Alambusha then released blood-sucking arrows that went right through the body of Abhimanyu and entered into the earth. Becoming enraged, the son of Arjuna released hundreds of arrows that caused the Rakshasa to turn his back on the field of battle. The Rakshasa, Alambusha, then resorted to his mystic power and covered the battlefield with a dense darkness. No one could be seen, and the supporting soldiers of Abhimanyu were struck with fear. To counter this illusion, the son of Subhadra released a solar weapon that lit up the battlefield. When light again returned, dispelling the darkness, Abhimanyu pierced Alambusha with many broad-headed arrows. The mystic Rakshasa tried many other mystic illusions, but they were all destroyed by the weapons of the son of Arjuna. Abhimanyu then pierced the Rakshasa in all parts of his body, and he appeared like a forested mountain. With blood pouring from his wounds and having no other mystic weapons, he abandoned his chariot and fled the battlefield. Beholding his troops routed, Bhishma attacked Abhimanyu with great strength. The mighty chariot fighters of the Kaurava army encircled the son of Arjuna and began to rain their arrows upon him. Unwavered, Abhimanyu fought with them valiantly. Coming up to assist Abhimanyu was his father Arjuna. He quickly arrived at the spot where Abhimanyu was slaughtering the troops. Seeing him coming, Sardwat's son, Kripa, pierced Arjuna with 25 arrows. Not tolerating that action, Satyaki attacked Kripa with an arrow capable of taking his life. However, the son of Drona, Ashvatthama, cut that arrow in mid-air and then pierced Satyaki in the chest with many broad-headed shafts. Satyaki countered and struck Ashvatthama with 6 arrows that caused him to faint away on his chariot. With this action, Drona rushed against Satyaki, intent on taking his life. Arjuna came up to assist Satyaki and pierced Drona with 3 iron-headed arrows. Drona countered those arrows and covered the third son of Pandu with a shower of arrows. Watching with concern the battle between those 2 bulls among men, Duryodhana ordered Shusharman to attack Arjuna. Supported by his military divisions, King Shusharman came upon Arjuna eager for combat. The king of the tree-garters pierced Arjuna with many arrows that entered his body like birds enter a tree. Becoming enraged, Arjuna invoked the Vayavya weapon, which caused a hurricane to appear on the battlefield. Picking up men, horses, elephants, and chariots, this weapon scattered them all over the battlefield. Countering that weapon, Drona released the Mahadev weapon, which caused the wind to die down. However, the soldiers of the Trigarta army, fearful of their lives, ran from the battlefield. Duryodhana ordered the foremost of the chariot fighters, Kripa, Ashvatthama, Salya, Sudakshin, Balika, and the Avanti brothers, to attack the second son of Pandu, Bhimasena. They came upon him with their elephant divisions and began to harass him greatly. Brikadar, licking his lips, took up his death-dealing mace, and descending from his chariot, he began to slaughter those huge beasts along with their riders. Bhima's body was practically impenetrable, and arrows could hardly pierce his skin. Fearlessly, he began to dance on the field of battle, scattering the huge elephant divisions with his powerful mace. While being slaughtered by Bhima, those elephants sent up wails of anguish and fell to the ground. Some had their heads smashed, and others had their backs broken by the powerful mace of Bhima. Covered with the blood of the elephants and soldiers, and pierced all over with arrows, he appeared like Yamaraj himself, come to take the life of all beings. Whatever elephants were left fled away out of fear, and thus once again the troops of Duryodhana were defeated in battle. At midday, a fierce battle took place between the grandsire Bhishma and the Somakas. At foremost of the Kaurava warriors began to consume the ranks of the enemy in hundreds and thousands. Coming up to challenge Bhishma were Drupad, Virata, Dristadumni, and Sakandi. They rained upon Bhishma a shower of arrows, and there was not 2 finger breadth of space on his body where he wasn't pierced with arrows. Although pierced in many places, the grandsire was not affected. He returned those arrows and struck Drona, Virata, and Dristadumni in the same way that they had pierced him. However, he would not release a single weapon against Sakandi on account of his having been a female in his youth. Bhima blazed up in great anger and began to destroy the ranks of the Pandavas with his sharpened arrows. He killed the elephants, chariot fighters, and horsemen with his deadly shafts. On hearing the twang of his bow, the Pandava troops were struck with fear. Not only did his arrows pierce the armor of the combatants, but passed right through them into the ground. In front of him, the grandsire created a cemetery of dead bodies, broken chariots, fallen horses, and deceased elephants. With broad-headed shafts, he smashed chariots to pieces, including the axle and wheels. Severed heads and numerous weapons lay on the field of battle in front of the grandsire. His arrows were like meteors scorching the field in front of him. The Pandavas, with the greatest effort, could not rally their army that was frightened by the prowess of Bhishma. The grandfather was endowed with the prowess of a young man, and when he came upon Arjuna, he began to afflict the son of Indra with his blazing arrows. Witnessing the rout of the Pandava army, Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna. "The hour has come which you have so longed for. You must kill Bhishma now, or he will kill you. In the assembly of kings at Virata's court, you promised to slay this great warrior. Now is the time to make those words come true." Arjuna replied, "Which would be better, another 12 years in the forest or sovereignty with hell at the end? Which of these should I achieve? Urge the horses on, O Hrishikesh. I will do as you desire. I will overthrow the powerful grandsire, that invincible warrior." Thus Lord Krishna drove the chariot to the place where Bhishma was releasing his arrows. The Pandava army rallied behind Arjuna and rushed at the grandsire, eager for battle. Seeing Partha coming, Bhishma roared like a lion and covered Dhananjaya's car with a shower of arrows. Then Partha, releasing his powerful arrows, shattered the bow of Bhishma, cutting it into fragments. While Bhishma was stringing another bow, Arjuna cut that one to pieces, and the son of Shantanu exclaimed, "Well done, well done." Then Bhishma, taking up another bow, began to cut Arjuna's body with many arrows. Arjuna too released many arrows, piercing his grandfather and drawing his blood. Bhishma then fought with greater prowess and began to vanquish in thousands the supporting troops of Arjuna right before his very eyes. The grandsire then covered the chariot of Arjuna with hundreds of arrows so that Arjuna and Krishna could not be seen. It was obvious that Arjuna was not fighting with all his strength, and Bhishma was going to emerge victorious. Arrows were filling the sky, and Arjuna was falling into danger. Seeing the situation, Lord Krishna could no longer tolerate the possible defeat of Arjuna. To break his own promise not to fight, the Supreme Personality of Godhead descended from a chariot and, picking up the wheel of a broken chariot, rushed at Bhishma while his hair and yellow garments flowed in the breeze. Bhishma had promised that he would kill Arjuna, and to save his devotee, Lord Krishna would have to fight. This was the vow of Bhishma. Lord Krishna then broke his promise to make good the promise of Bhishma. Roaring like a lion, the Lord of the universe, the mighty Lord Krishna, rushed at Bhishma to kill him. Lord Krishna resembled a rain cloud passing through the sky, decorated with flashes of lightning. Beholding the lotus-eyed Lord rushing towards him, Bhishma began to release arrows that pierced the body of Lord Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose body is completely transcendental, received those arrows like a lover receives the affectionate bites of his beloved girlfriend. Bhishma said to the Supreme Lord, "Come, come, O lotus-eyed one, I offer you my respectful obeisances, O God of gods. O my Lord, destroy me in this battle, so that I may win great fame. O Govinda, you may strike me as you please, for I am your eternal servant, life after life." Descending from his chariot, Arjuna ran after Lord Krishna and seized him with his two arms. Supporting him with great effort, Arjuna spoke to him. "O mighty arm Keshava, you should not break the promise you made in the assembly of kings. You said at that time, 'I will not fight.' Alas, this great burden rests on me. I swear I will slay the grandsire. I swear by my weapons, by truth, and by my good deeds. You will behold this mighty warrior thrown down by me with the greatest ease." Lord Krishna did not reply to the statement of Arjuna, but in great anger he mounted the chariot and again guided the horses of his devotee. Bhishma once more began to pour his shower of arrows upon the chariot of Arjuna. Once again the grandsire began to slay the troops in hundreds and thousands by the use of his celestial weapons. No one could even look at him in battle as he released his death-dealing weapons. One could only see thousands of slain horses, elephants, and men, as well as the sky filled with his arrows. The Pandavas gazed on Bhishma in wonder and could do nothing to stop him. Thus, without a protector, the Pandava army broke and fled the battlefield. At this time the sun set its course on the horizon, and with its disappearance the great divisions of both sides withdrew to their camps. Witnessing the slaughter of his men, King Yudhisthira could find no peace of mind. The Kauravas, extremely delighted at the turn of events, followed Bhishma to his tent, glorifying his prowess. Meanwhile, the Pandavas, along with their generals, held consultation to discuss the day's events. Reflecting on what had taken place that day, King Yudhisthira spoke to Lord Krishna. "Behold the prowess of the grandsire Bhishma, O Vyasadeva. He has crushed my troops like an elephant in a sugarcane field. I think it is possible to defeat Yamaraj or Indra in battle, but this Bhishma cannot be slain. When this is the case, I have fallen into an ocean of grief. O invincible one, I will now retire to the forest, for I have no purpose to fulfill. Witnessing the slaughter of my troops, I do not desire sovereignty of the three worlds. O slayer of Madhu, my brothers are greatly afflicted by the prowess of our grandfather, and I am afraid that they might be slain in battle. Please show us your favor, O Krishna, and tell us what is beneficial for us at this time." Smiling with compassion, Lord Krishna, the protector of his devotees, spoke to King Yudhisthira the following words. O son of Dharma, you are a follower of the religious principles, and therefore there is no need to lament. When you have these invincible heroes for your protectors, why fall into an ocean of sorrow? Arjuna and Bhima alone are capable of destroying the enemy. Both Nakula and Sahadeva are as capable and qualified as the King of Heaven himself. Even I, O son of Pandu, will fight with Bhishma and slay him. If Arjuna out of weakness will not kill him, then I will kill him in the very sight of the sons of Dhritarashtra. He who is the enemy of the Pandavas is also my enemy. This brother of yours, Arjuna, is my friend, relative, and disciple. I will, O king, cut off my flesh and give it away for the sake of Arjuna. Therefore order me, O king, to fight with Bhishma. Formerly at Upaplavya, Arjuna spoke up in the assembly of kings, saying, I will slay the son of Ganga. If excited in battle, Arjuna can fulfill that promise, or I can fulfill that promise for him. Bhishma has fallen under the sway of demoniac persons, and the reaction that will accrue to them will also fall upon him. That is the way of karma. Hearing the words of Krishna, King Yudhisthira said, It will certainly be as you say, O Madhava. All these Kauravas taken together cannot bear your prowess. I am sure that all my desires will be fulfilled as long as you, my lord, are our protector. O Govinda, what is there to say about Bhishma, although he is a mighty warrior? Before the battle he agreed to give counsel to us, although he would not fight on our side. Therefore, O slayer of Madhu, let us go to him and ask him to advise us about this situation. When we were fatherless and orphans, he raised us with great affection. Thus we love him much. Oh, to hell with the profession of a Kshatriya. Hearing these words, the descendant of Vrishni spoke to Yudhisthira. O son of Pandu, your words are filled with great wisdom and are very pleasing to hear. Let us go to the tent of Bhishma and ask him how we can obtain his death. When asked by you, he will certainly reply with the truth. Thus the Pandavas, with Lord Krishna at their head, went to the abode of Bhishma, and offered their obeisances unto him. Then the mighty armed Bhishma addressed them, saying, Welcome, O descendant of Vrishni. Welcome, O Dhananjaya. Welcome, King Yudhisthira, Bhima, Nakula, and Sahadeva. What can I do to enhance your joy? Even if it is difficult to achieve, I will endeavor with all my soul to fulfill it. Unto the chief descendant of the Kuru dynasty, King Yudhisthira lovingly spoke the following words. O worshipful grandfather, you are conversant with all knowledge. How shall we obtain victory, and how shall we obtain sovereignty? How also can this needless destruction of the Kshatriya race be stopped? Please answer these questions, and also tell me how your death may come about. It is not in our power to stop your progress on the front line of battle. While releasing your arrows, no one is able to tell when you draw the string, place the arrow, and release the arrow. This all happens in one motion. O bull of the Bharat race, where is the man who can stand in front of you as you shower your arrows, causing a great destruction? Tell me, O grandsire, how we may be able to vanquish you in battle and gain sovereignty. Replying to the words of King Yudhisthira, the son of Ganga said, As long as I am alive, O son of Pandu, victory will not be yours. O possessor of great wisdom, I tell you this is a fact. After I am slain on the battlefield, victory will be yours. If you therefore desire victory, then throw me down without delay. I give you permission to do so. It is fortunate for you that you know my position, for if you had not come to me in this way, then there would have been many days of misfortune ahead for you. Listen to my words and act upon what I say. With my large bow and other weapons, I fight very carefully in battle. No one, not even the demigods headed by Indra, can defeat me. If, however, I lay aside my weapons, then you may defeat me. It is known, however, that I will not fight with a woman or one who was a woman. The son of Drupad Sakandi, who is ever victorious in battle, was a woman in his youth, and has since attained manhood. Keeping Sakandi before him, let Arjuna release his arrows and pierce my body. I will not fight with Sakandi. At that time I will lay down my weapons, and taking this opportunity, Arjuna may strike me on all sides and gain victory. Except for the divine son of Devaki, Lord Krishna, or Arjuna, there is no one who can defeat me in battle. After I am vanquished, you will be able to defeat all the sons of Dhritarashtra and their allies. After hearing the instructions of the grandsire and offering their respectful obeisances, the Pandavas went back to their tents. Knowing that he would have to be the cause of the death of his grandfather, Arjuna said to the personality of Godhead, How, O Madhava, will I be able to fight with the grandsire who is senior in years, who is possessed of great wisdom, and who is the oldest member of our race? While sporting in the days of our childhood, O Vyasadeva, I used to climb upon his lap and smear him with dust. O Janardhan, he is my grandfather, worthy of great respect. I used to address him as father, but he would correct me and say, I am the father of your father. Oh, how can I kill this worshipful person in combat? Let my army perish, and also let me perish. I will never kill one who is worthy of my worship. Lord Krishna replied, Having vowed to kill Bhishma before, O Jishnu, how can you refrain from keeping your vow? Victory can never be yours without slaying Ganga's son. This has already been settled by the actions of the demigods. This is a predestined activity. It cannot happen otherwise. You are to be the instrument in this great battle, and you should not consider yourself the doer. Such were my instructions before the battle. Do not hesitate. Follow the advice given by the grandsire and obtain victory. Arjuna said, O Krishna, I will do as you say. It is true that the course of destiny cannot be changed. Therefore, keeping Sakandi before me, I will slay that best among men, Bhishma. I will keep the other Maharatis in check with my arrows, and myself and Sakandi will cause the grandsire to fall from his chariot. Having settled the affair with Bhishma's permission, the Pandavas along with Lord Krishna retired for the night with contemplative hearts. Thus ends the 9th chapter of the Bhisma Parva to the summary study of the Mahabharata entitled, The 9th Day of the Great Battle. Chapter 10 of the Bhisma Parva, The Fall of the Grandsire Bhishma. King Dhritarashtra inquired, O Sanjaya, on the 10th day of the great battle, how did Sakandi advance against the son of Ganga? The great Bhishma had received a benediction from his father that he would die only when he wanted to. Therefore, how would it be possible for Sakandi or even Arjuna to take the life of that great soul? Please tell me in detail, O Sutta, how the grandsire advanced against the Pandava army. Sanjaya said, O king, the grandsire Bhishma has always acted as your father, friend, and counselor. For your fault, you will now hear about the fall of this great soldier. When the hour of sunrise came, the Pandavas and the Kauravas arranged their divisions in battle formation. The Pandavas placed Sakandi at their head, protected by Arjuna and Bhima. Behind them were the 5 sons of Draupadi and Abhimanyu. The other Maharatis that were supporting them were Satyaki, Chekitana, Dristadumna, Virat, Drupad, the 5 Kekaya brothers, Dristiketu, and Uttamojas. The Kauravas, placing Bhishma in the forefront of their army, prepared for battle. Behind Bhishma were the sons of Dhritarashtra, and supporting them were Drona, Ashvatthama, Bhagadat, Kripa, Kritavarman, the mighty Sudakshin, the king of the Kambojas, Jayat-Sain, the ruler of Magadha, Shakuni, and Brihadvala. Behind them were millions upon millions of soldiers eager for battle. The 2 armies then rushed at each other, and the clash of weapons and the armor was uproarious. Sakandi rushed against the grandsire and released 3 arrows that pierced Bhishma in the chest. Grandfather Bhishma did not counter those arrows, but destroyed the supporting troops of Sakandi like a forest fire consuming trees. Bhishma refused to fight with Sakandi on account of his once being a woman in his youth. Despite the fact that Sakandi rained arrows upon Bhishma, the grandsire would not fight with the son of Drupad. He addressed Sakandi, Whether you choose to strike me first or not, I will never fight with you. You are a woman by birth, and I can never challenge one who has changed his sex. Sakandi replied, I know that you are the exterminator of the Kshatriya race, and that you have even defeated the mighty Parashuram in battle. Knowing this, I will fight with you and slay you. Whether you choose to strike me or not, you will not escape with your life. O Bhishma, prepare yourself for the next world. Ignoring Sakandi, Bhishma began to rout the Somakas and the Srinjayas. Fighting with all his energy, he killed 10,000 elephants and 10,000 horsemen as well. On this final day, the grandsire killed a full 200,000 foot soldiers. Even though this slaughter was going on, the Pandavas did not waver in battle. They came forward with upraised weapons for killing Bhishma. Beholding Bhishma's prowess, Arjuna ordered Sakandi, saying, Fight with Bhishma. Do not feel the slightest fear for your life. Providence has ordained his fall. Following the order of Arjuna, Sakandi, followed by Dristadumna and Abhimanyu, rushed at the grandsire, releasing their powerful weapons. At this time, Drona was also engaged in battle with the Pandava forces. Drona began to perceive omens indicating a great loss on the side of the Kauravas. The mighty warrior then spoke to his son. On this day, my son, the mighty Partha will try his best to overcome the grandsire. On this day, my arrows are not coming out of their quiver of their own accord. My bow seems to yawn, and my strength is leaving my body. My weapons are unwilling to answer my call. Animals and birds are uttering fierce and terrible cries. My heart is cheerless, and the sun seems to have lost its effulgence. The 4 quarters are ablaze, and vultures are flying overhead. The bodies of the kings belonging to the Kaurava army seem pale, although decorated with golden ornaments. In all directions the sound of the Panchajanya and the twang of the Gandiva can be heard. Without doubt Arjuna is trying to engage only the grandsire, avoiding all other Maharatis. Keeping the Panchala prince Sakandi in front of him, he seeks to kill Bhishma. Alas, what will be our fate today? Thus contemplating the future, Drona again began to battle with the Pandava warriors. On this day, Bhishma was causing a great slaughter of the Somakas and the Srinjayas. Arjuna too was taking away the lives of hundreds and thousands of chariot fighters, horsemen, and infantry. So great was the slaughter on both sides that it was hard to tell which side would become victorious. Bhishma was scorching the Pandava army, and after 10 days he gave up all desire of protecting his life. Wishing his own death would come, he thought, I will no longer engage in the cruel act of slaughtering large numbers of warriors. Upon seeing King Yudhisthira near him, he addressed him, saying, O Yudhisthira, listen to my words and carry out my desires. I have spent so many days killing large numbers of soldiers. O Bharat, I no longer desire to protect this body of mine. If you wish to do what is agreeable to me, then kill me as I stand on my chariot. Placing Sakandi and Partha in forefront of your army, cause my ascendance to the heavenly planets. Understanding the intention of Bhishma, Yudhisthira caused the army of the Srinjayas, headed by Dristadumna, to attack Bhishma. Arjuna, also keeping Sakandi in front of him, began to release his deadly arrows at the grandsire. The Somakas, following Arjuna, began to battle with Bhishma. Within a short time, the grandsire killed 14,000 chariot fighters as they stood on their chariots. Sakandi then released 14 broad-headed arrows that struck Bhishma in the chest. The son of Ganga, however, only looked at Sakandi with wrath. Then ordered by Arjuna in the words, Rush quickly and slay the grandsire, do not hesitate, go and challenge him immediately. Following those instructions, the son of Drupad began to release his deadly weapons for slaying the foremost of the Kuru dynasty. Coming up to protect the grandsire was Duryodhana. He ordered all the great warriors with their combatants to kill Arjuna. Seeing them coming, Arjuna called upon his celestial weapons and caused a great slaughter on the field of battle. His celestial weapons released hundreds of thousands of arrows, severing the heads, arms, and legs of the oncoming enemy. Angered by the prowess of his grandson, Bhishma invoked a celestial weapon, rushed at the son of Kunti in the sight of all bowmen. However, seeing Sakandi in the forefront of the battle, the grandsire withdrew the blazing weapon. Bhishma then fixed his attention on slaying the Somakas and the Srinjayas. He single-handedly killed 10,000 elephants and 7 great ratas amongst the Panchalas and the Matsyas. He then sent to the abode of Yamaraj 10,000 horsemen and 5,000 foot soldiers. Having thinned the ranks of the Pandava army, Bhishma then killed Satanika, the brother of Virata. Whoever followed Partha, supporting the third son of Kunti, was sent by Bhishma to the other world. Bhishma was achieving the most glorious feats on this 10th day of the battle. No one could stand before the grandsire as he released his weapons. The king of the Panchalas, Drupad, Dristadumna, Nakula and Sahadev, Virat, Abhimanyu, Satyaki, the sons of Draupadi, Garutkach, Bhima, and Kunti Boj were sinking in the ocean of the grandsire. Coming to save them was Arjuna. He encouraged them, and in their presence he killed all the supporting soldiers around Bhishma. Then altogether the great Adirats and Maharatis of the Pandava army attacked Bhishma, hoping to kill him on his chariot. Keeping Sakandi in front of them, they pierced Bhishma with hundreds of arrows. Arjuna managed to cut off Bhishma's bow, and with this act the Kauravas became enraged. They all attacked Arjuna with using their celestial weapons and showering upon him thousands of arrows. Sakandi continued piercing Bhishma with his arrows, but the grandsire ignored him and penetrated through the enemy ranks. Arjuna attacked the son of Ganga and tore his bow to pieces. Bhishma took up another weapon, but that was also shattered by the arrows of Arjuna. Partha managed to cut all the bows taken up by Bhishma with his sharpened arrows. Bhishma, excited with anger, took up a dart, and with all his might hurled it at Arjuna. Arjuna, however, tore it to pieces as it came toward him. Seeing his dart cut off, Bhishma reflected, With a single bow I could kill the Pandavas if Vishnu had not been their protector. For 2 reasons I will not fight with them. One is that they are protected by Lord Krishna, and the other is that Sakandi stands in front of them. I cannot be killed on the battlefield. Such was the benediction given by my father Shantanu. He said that I would die only when I wanted to. Now I think that the time has come. Reflecting like this, the demigods and rishis confirmed what he was thinking by saying, The time of departure from this world is close at hand, O king. Withdraw your heart from battle. With these words, a fragrant and auspicious breeze filled with water particles began to flow in all directions. In the heavens were heard the sounds of conch shells, drums, and bugles. Showers of flowers then began to fall from the sky upon Bhishma. All this was only seen by Bhishma, who now thought of attaining the kingdom of God. Meanwhile, the great warriors attacked Bhishma with greater strength. Arjuna struck Bhishma in every part of his body with hundreds of arrows, but the son of Ganga did not waver even the slightest. He returned those arrows and began once again to afflict the enemy ranks. Sakandi and Arjuna came near the grandsire as he was releasing his arrows. Arjuna once again cut his bow from his hand and also cut his standard from the chariot. Shantanu's son then picked up another bow, but that was also cut to pieces. Repeatedly, Arjuna cut all the bows of Bhishma to pieces, and with this Bhishma no longer desired to fight with Arjuna. Arjuna began to pierce the grandsire with hundreds of arrows as he stood on his chariot. Seeing Dushishan near him, Bhishma said, "Just see, the great bowman Arjuna is piercing me with thousands of arrows. I am incapable of being vanquished by the demigods and asuras combined. What to speak of ordinary warriors of this world? These arrows that are piercing my body are not Sakandi's, but Arjuna's. Only he can cause me the pain that I am feeling at present. These arrows are released with the power of the thunderbolt. They are virulent like poison, and they are entering deep into my body. Besides the wielder of the Gandiva bow, there is not one that can cause me this much pain." Saying this much, Bhishma picked up a dart and hurled it at Arjuna. Partha, however, cut that weapon to pieces. The son of Shantanu picked up a sword and shield to fight with Arjuna, but the son of Kunti shattered the sword and shield before the grandsire could descend from his chariot. This feat was wonderful on the field of battle. Then King Yudhisthira spoke to his army, saying, "All rush at Ganga's son, do not be afraid." With these words, the army of the Pandavas rushed at Bhishma with their upraised weapons. Releasing hundreds of arrows, Arjuna pierced Bhishma in every part of his body. Indeed, there was not on his body a two-fingered breadth of space where there was not an arrow. Mangled in this way, the aged grandsire of the Kuru dynasty fell from his chariot to the ground. Great sounds of lamentation were heard from the divisions of the Kauravas. When the grandsire fell from his chariot, the hearts of the Kauravas fell with him. It was as if one of the demigods had fallen from the heavens. He fell down from his chariot with his head facing the eastern direction. Knowing the sun was in an inauspicious course, he did not allow his soul to leave his body. Because his mortal frame was pierced with many arrows, his body did not touch the ground. At that time Bhishma looked divine. The clouds poured a cool shower, and the earth trembled. Seeing her son fallen from his chariot, Ganga sent to him rishis in swan-like form. Circumambulating him, they requested him not to leave his body until the sun had entered its northern course. He then spoke to them, "I will never pass from this world while the sun is in its southern route. I will proceed from this world when the sun changes to its northern passage." The celestial swans then again entered the heavens and informed Ganga of the decision of her son. When the great-grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the topmost of all warriors, had fallen from his chariot, both armies ceased fighting. The Pandavas and the Srinjayas uttered loud roars like bulls. The Kurus were overcome with grief. Duryodhana and Kripa sighed and wept tears of anguish. Dushishan went to the divisions where Kripa was fighting and informed Drona of the fall of Bhishma. Hearing these evil omens, Drona fell from his chariot senseless. Upon regaining consciousness, he forbade his troops to fight with the Pandavas. Laying down their armor, both the Pandavas and the Kurus came to the side of Bhishma. They offered their obeisances to the grandsire and stood with folded hands. He then spoke to him, "Welcome, all you great heroes. I am joyous to see your sight before leaving this world." Bhishma's head had not been pierced with arrows and was hanging down. He requested the warriors present to fetch him a pillow. Quickly they brought him pillows of the finest silk. However, Bhishma said, "O king, this is not a hero's bed." He then addressed Arjuna, saying, "O Dhananjaya, I am in need of a pillow, for my head hangs down. Please give me a pillow as you think fit." Stringing his bow with tears coming from his eyes, Arjuna filled the ground under Bhishma's head with many arrows. Laying his head upon that pillow fit for a warrior, Bhishma said, "You have given me a pillow and a bed that is worthy of a Kshatriya. This is the way one should sleep on the field of battle. I will sleep on this bed until the sun takes its northern course." Trying to save the life of Bhishma, Duryodhana brought many physicians to heal the wounds of his grandfather, but Bhishma sent them all away, desirous of death only. With the greatest respect, all the Pandavas and the Kauravas paid their obeisances to the eldest member of the Kuru race. They stationed guards for protecting him from the Rakshasas and carnivorous animals. They then circumambulated him and returned to their tents. When the night had passed away, the Pandavas and the Kauravas came again to where the grandfather was laying. Many people from Hastinapur had come to pay their last respects to the dying Bhishma. They were sprinkling flowers and sandalwood powder over his body, and some were blowing on trumpets and some were blowing conch shells. When the Pandavas and the Kauravas had surrounded Bhishma, the son of Ganga asked for some water. The kings immediately brought many pitchers of water to quench his thirst. He refused all of them and called for Arjuna. He said, "Covered all over with arrows, my body burns and my mouth is dry. You are a great bowman and are able to give me water in a befitting way." Understanding the mind of his grandfather, Arjuna picked up his Gandiva bow and placed it upon it, the Parjanya weapon. He then pierced the earth, causing a stream of water to quench the thirst of his grandfather. Bhishma then addressed Arjuna again. "O mighty-armed Arjuna, this feat is not so wonderful. With Lord Krishna as your ally, there is nothing in this world that you will not achieve. Narada has told me that you are none other than Nara, the ancient rishi of old, and that Krishna is Narayan, the supreme personality of Godhead. You are the greatest of all bowmen and the foremost among men. I have tried repeatedly to convince Duryodhana of this fact, but he would not listen. Now, like a fool, he will lay on the field of battle overcome by the might of Bhima." Hearing these words of his, Duryodhana became sad at heart. Looking upon him, Bhishma said, "Listen, O king, abandon your anger. You have seen how Arjuna has pierced the earth with his celestial weapon. There is none other who can perform such an act. Indeed, all the celestial weapons are known to Arjuna as well as to Lord Krishna. There is no one else who possesses them. This Arjuna is superhuman and cannot be defeated in battle. While the remnants of your brothers have not yet been killed, why don't you make peace with the Pandavas? As long as Krishna has not cast his wrathful glance upon your army, make peace with the Pandavas. This is what I regard as beneficial for you. Give to Yudhisthira his kingdom of Indraprastha, and let all these kings make peace amongst one another. If you do not listen to these words of advice, then you will have to lament greatly." Having spoken these words out of affection for Duryodhana, Bhishma fell silent. Duryodhana could not accept the words of his grandfather because of his wicked heart. Thus he was like a dying man refusing to take medicine. When the Kauravas and the Pandavas had returned to their tents, Karna came to the place where the grandsire was laying mortally wounded. He approached Bhishma and offered his obeisances. With a faltering voice and tears falling from his eyes, he said, "O chief of the Kurus, I am Radha's son, whom you have always looked upon with anger." Hearing these words, Bhishma opened his eyes, and seeing the place deserted of men, he embraced Karna with one of his arms. He then said with great affection, "If you had not come to me in this way, things would have not gone well with you. You are Kunti's son and not Radha's. I have heard all about this from Narada, as well as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. Without doubt it is true. I tell you the truth, I bear no hatred toward you. It was only for cooling your envy of the Pandavas that I spoke to you in such a way. Without any reason you have spoken ill of the Pandavas. Due to bad association with Duryodhana, you have become like him. Indeed, you are equal to Arjuna and Krishna in bowmanship. There is no doubt about this. Whatever anger I have had against you is gone. The heroic sons of Pandu are your brothers. Therefore unite with them and let these hostilities end." Karna replied, "I know that all you have told me is true. I am Kunti's son, but I have been raised by a Sutta. I was abandoned to die by Kunti. For so long I have enjoyed the wealth of Duryodhana with my relatives. I dare not falsify it now. As Krishna is dear to the Pandavas, so Duryodhana is dear to me. It is well known to me that Arjuna and Krishna are undefeatable in battle, but still it is my duty to try to kill Arjuna on behalf of my friend Duryodhana. Please give me your permission to fight in battle. Please also forgive any offense which I may have committed against you out of foolishness." Bhishma said, "If you are not able to cast off this anger, then